Some millennial parents are complaining on TikTok that the grandparents aren't taking care. They're not taking on the full role of full-time caregivers as they might have had growing up. Why aren't grandparents stepping up? And if they do, should they expect to be paid for full-time care? Go-to grandma, Kathy Buckworth, weighs in on this sensitive, timely issue. Good morning to you, Kathy.
Good morning, Rosie.
Good morning. Okay, so when we're talking about taking care of grandkids, we're not talking about the occasional, like once in a blue moon, watching the kids for maybe a night out. We're talking about regular babysitting of their grandkids. Should grandparents be paid for that? What are your thoughts?
Well, as soon as you say pay the grandparents to spend time with their grandchildren, people are like, oh no, I enjoy it so much. I love my grandkids. But we are talking about full-time daycare, Monday to Friday, 8 till 6, whatever the hours are that the parents need for work. So I have a few thoughts on that. Because honestly, a lot of grandparents, like myself, are still working, right? So if we're going to give up a full-time job when we still require an income as well, I think it's a reasonable request. If you can afford to not have to charge your kids, that's fantastic, or you don't want to. But sometimes it becomes part of the process, and what the parents are getting is daycare they can trust. They can, maybe the pickups and the drop-offs are a little bit easier. Maybe the grandparents are coming to your house instead of you taking them out. And another thing to consider is that if you're paying childcare expenses to your parents to watch the kids, you can claim that childcare expense. You cannot claim a childcare expense if it's the spouse or a direct, the parent of the child. But a grandparent is eligible for a childcare expense. Now, the grandparent may also has to declare the income for that to work. So we have to watch that as well, because you might be on a package from retiring. You don't want that to impact your, your tax level as well. So those are sort of the logisticals around sorting that out. But let's go back to the beginning. Can the relationship withstand the grandparent saying, yeah, I'll do that for you, but bring me a check? So that can be a tricky one. So I think those discussions have to happen well before the childcare is required. Almost from pregnancy. But that's when we start planning childcare, isn't it? As parents, that's when we start looking at it.
You said it right there, discussions. What kind of discussions need to take place ahead of this arrangement?
I think what has to happen is, do you want your parents to caregive your kids full time? That's the first thing. Do you want that? And if you say yes, you have to be prepared for some of those grandparent rules to kick in, because they are going to have a really big part of raising those kids. Whereas, you can't say, well, we don't do it that way. You're going to have the negotiation in terms of, is there screen time? Can they be outside? What are the what are the nap times, etc. And I think that can be a tricky conversation to have. As a grandparent who doesn't do full-time care, I don't put my rules on my grandkids. I follow my daughter's rules for her kids, but I'm not a full-time caregiver. So I think that's a fair conversation. So it has to start right away, and I think just be open about it. Also, they have to have the space to caregive. Are they in your house? Are they in their house?
Look at you and your
Look
grandbabies.
Me and my grandkids. And I think we have to consider that as well. Can the grandparent do full-time daycare physically and mentally?
Look at that. You've got 4 there.
I've got 4
and
now.
a baby.
And a baby. So she's 8 months and all the way up to 6 years.
So that means you got to get down low and run after the baby's crawling, right?
You want to make sure that your parents are physically able to do it, or they're going to have to put the child in front of a screen for a few hours because they can't physically watch them all the time. Is that acceptable to you? So a lot of things to consider before you get into that conversation on both sides.
That may be one of the reasons why a grandparent or grandparents would say no, refuse to take care of their grandchildren. Not because they don't love them, but it's just physically it's too demanding.
That's right, it's too much, especially if they're running them out to lessons and things like that as well. So really a lot of things to consider when you have the discussion. We always lead with that, right? Protect the relationship with your kids and your grandkids first, and hopefully you can come to a conclusion.
And so is it, in your opinion, if a grandparent says, okay, I'm going to watch them Monday to Friday, it's maybe 3, 4, 5 hour commitment every single day, how would you feel? What are your thoughts on the grandparent actually initiating that conversation about payment?
Well, I would suggest that you have to be open about your own finances. That's where it starts, right? And say, I'd love to do this for you, but maybe I have to give up my part-time job, or maybe I have to give up hanging out with my friends or playing pickleball. Like, I don't know. You want to consider all of these things because you want to have a life as well. The other more complicated part of this too is, what about the other set of grandparents? So if you're the primary caregiver of the grandparent, what does that do to the relationship with the other grandparents? I have a great relationship with my kids' other grandparents, and I want to keep it that way. So that's a conversation that has to happen as well, in terms of, I'm going to be full-time caregiver. Do you want to come over and help sometime? Do you want to split it? Do you want, so then when there's an occasion to babysit at night, maybe they get the opportunity? Lots of relationships, right? Especially if there's different sets of grandparents due to families. divorcing or whatever. You could have 6 grandparents in the mix,
You
right?
could. Kathy, what does it offer your grandkids when grandma takes care of the grandkids? What do you think? What are the advantages?
The advantages are, of course, you're carrying on a lot of family traditions. You're showing them the same love that you showed to your kids. You're following a lot of the same rules. And my grandkids love seeing pictures of their mom as a little girl. So I bring those over often.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Mom was a baby. That's so fun. She was in your tummy. Like, what's going on with that? So I think those are fun things that you can do. I mean, spending time with my grandkids, I'm lucky. I can do it and not to have to do it full time. I do it when I'm able to, and that flexibility and closeness to them it means all the world to me.
Author and go-to grandma Kathy Buckworth, it's been such a pleasure talking with you and finally getting to see you again. It's been a little while.
It's been a long time.
It really has.
It's so nice catching up with you.
Great to see you. All right, thanks Kathy.